I'm from a small hood in Marcy. I come from a project. I come from nothing. Like people were very, very poor. That's where I came from. And to be not only a star in your neighborhood, then to be a star in the world, and then to take it even further and be international. That was the war. Best international hip hop act. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. Only two things can get you through this, man. That's patience and persistence.
So you have to define your genius level talent. Then you have to believe in it so hard. You have to have so much belief in this genius level talent that no matter what anyone says to you, you have to have this focus. So you have to find it.
My feeling is, whenever inspirational find you, you have to find it. Every now and again, I step outside of myself and I just look at my life objectively. Sometimes I find myself saying, who is that dude right there? Like, if you'd have told me 20 years ago that my life would be like this, I'm not sure I would have believed you. I'm inspired by my previous work. So I have to measure myself against that. There's a knowing in being an artist. There's a knowing. You can't guess. You can't think. There's a knowing. You have to know that even if it doesn't work today, tomorrow, there's artists that I play that weren't popular at the time that I play more than I play current artists. Shuggie Otis, I suggest you just go look up Shuggie Otis. He was amazing at the time, and at the time it wasn't this hugely popular thing, but I think when it all's said and done, we would play that music more than any other music, right? So you have to have this knowing that, okay, it may not work today, it may not work tomorrow, but this is the right thing, and this is what I'm doing, and this is what's feeding me. So that would be the best advice that I can give you. That knowing, just believe in what you're doing, and if you don't believe in it, then you're not doing it. You haven't figured out the thing that you do best yet. When you feel it and when you know, no one can tell you. Yeah, I'm inspired by, life and all sorts of things. You can say something right now that would inspire me to write a song or something to happen. People look at you strange saying you changed, like you worked that hard to stay the same. Like you're doing all this for a reason. And what happens most of the time, people change. People change around you because they start treating you different because of your success. So you are changing. You don't change who you are, the core of who you are, the things you believe, the things you love, and the things you die for, and your principles. You don't change that, but you're going to change who you are. You're going to change, you can't do the same things that you can't hang on the corner. Some people may not be comfortable with that. The goal is not to be successful and famous. That's not the goal. The goal is, if you have a specific God-given ability, is to live your life out through that. Right. One. And two, we have a responsibility to push the conversation forward until we're all equal. Until we're all equal on this place, because until everyone's free, no one's free. And that's just the fact. I walk in every room as myself. I don't walk in any room as anyone else. I'm not cowering. I'm not speaking soft. My voice doesn't change. It sounds exactly the same way. I'm walking as myself and proud. And I speak for us, and that gives me a joy. I'm honored to be in those rooms. And we all come from struggle, right? So that's what we do. Thrift shops and saving sneakers for 3 months. So when we get a chance to shoot videos and different things like that, we aspire for the opulent lifestyle. Some of us don't reach it, some of us do. For the most part, I was one of the lucky ones because I had a talent to make music, but most people don't. Most people either go to jail or get killed. Yeah. That's pretty much the ending.
But even if you have a talent, how do you do to break out of that? How do you get out of that misery, that scenario, that mechanism? How do you get out of that?
Very difficult. It was very difficult. I mean, like I said, lucky for me, I had an extreme talent and a little bit of a drive to help me. It took me a while, though, because my first album didn't come out till I was 26. So from that moment when I was 9 till I was 26, I was sort of trying on. It's like, oh yeah, that's the guy who used to be this and did that. Most kings get their head cut off, right? I mean, in war, battle, and in life. At the end of the day, you've achieved everything you want. You've made it to the top of the throne, and At the end of the day, you just get your head cut.
By the way, when you go back and listen to your old stuff, how does it make you feel? Do you remember that guy? Do you like?
I can hear the tone. I know exactly where I was on my second album, and like volume 1. First of all, I'm coming straight from out of the streets. I know every rapper says that. But I'm coming like I'm fresh out the streets, and like the whole world changed around me. I had an album out, you know what I'm saying? And everything is inspiration. Everything I can draw a tree exactly where I come from. It's Big Daddy Kane and Rakim. Everybody's inspired by someone. For sure. I can tell you that Basquiat painting came from that Picasso painting, which came from that African mask. All those Picasso paintings came from African masks. Did he steal it? You know, was he inspired by it? Yeah. Absolutely. But we all inspired. We're all artists. I can tell you the move that Bron does, that's directly from MJ. I sit there and I listen to the music, and I just, you know, I look at music like a puzzle. I try to figure the whole thing out, what the emotion of the track is saying. So when I look at myself on screen, I'm like, I look crazy. Like, it's not something that you just turn the music on and it's a hit there. Like, you have to work at it. You know, fear of failure. We all have the same aspirations.
You have a fear of failure?
Yeah, we all have fear of failure in some sort of way.
Despite success as a business mogul, as a musician?
Well, as a business mogul and as anybody who's been successful, you've always, the weight of who you are is on you as well.
Sure.
You know, the weight of all you've done is on you. Yeah, you know, I want it to be of that level. You know, it's just, it's the weight of who you are. I said in the Kanye remix, and do you have the power to get out from up under you? You know, the power to get out from everything you've done. In my beginning, you know, I just lived such a rich life, you know, a full life. You know, that, you know, my first album came out, I was 26, and I had seen so many things in the street. So my attitude was like, man, I've seen so much, and, you know, I don't have anything to prove. I know who I am. I'm a very self-aware person. You know, so when you're self-aware, even when you're dealing with someone's ego, you know when to allow it to, you allow their ego to live in its own space. You know, the problem is when you engage that energy, that's when there's a problem. If you engage the ego with your ego, then it's like, okay, now something has to happen. It can keep escalating to a level that can be irreversible. You know, but if you don't engage the ego, if you know how to manipulate or play around with the ego,
but that's weird in itself to people.
And you give light back to darkness, you know, it's very difficult.
People don't know how to take that, especially at a younger age. Now when they're a bit older, they can probably understand what you're doing. But if you're in a room and people are bringing all of that wild energy into a room, and you just take a step back into the shadow a little bit and just let them do that, they would almost take offense to it. Like, why are you playing along? Why are you getting involved in this? Did you have experiences like that where people thought, I don't know how to take Jay. I don't know how to deal with Jay. He doesn't engage with us on that level.
Yeah, I'm sure, you know, and a lot of times what that also can be, you can misinterpret that as you know, arrogance. You know,
in its own way.
If someone doesn't engage you in the way that you believe they should, then people's like, he's arrogant. He's act like he's above everybody. Yeah. Hustler's anybody that gets up every single day and figures out a way to make good for themselves in this society. Hustler's anybody who has the drive to make something happen for himself. Just so happened for us being in the street, hustlers meant that we had to find a different way because there were no jobs available. You know, the school system was shot. You know, so we had to hustle to find a different way to make means for ourselves. In life, people emulate the end result, not the process. The end result is what they see and they emulate that. Well, Kobe scored that 61. That day he was practicing. Practice his whole life. Are you willing to put in that sort of commitment? Are you willing to practice the whole life? Yeah, I'm sure you want to be on a jet and all that, but do you want to put in that work? That's what it takes for something great, that amount of time, that level of commitment. A lot of people will try to put their fears on you. You can't do that. No, you can't do it. Right. You know what I'm saying? So they just projecting, they're putting things that they don't believe that they can do on you. And you may possibly do it. You know, my uncle, he was telling me, like, I'm never gonna my uncle said I never sell 1 million records. I sold 1 million records like 1 million times. You know, so he was. I'm sure I'm his nephew. I know I don't think he meant any malice.
He wanted the best for you, but
he just was
didn't
projecting
believe.
his fears and things that. Are you crazy? How are you gonna do that? How? You know, I'm sure there's things that I do now that he can't believe that I was able to accomplish. But he couldn't even see it at the time. So he was just projecting, putting his fears on me. So the whole thing is just, you know, and always believe you're great, even before anybody else believes it.